Hello, Secret Friends Unite. This is Peter, and we are back on the spotlight where we interview creatives from all over about things that we enjoy. And today we have the opportunity to talk to Jonathan Morris of the fan production Star Trek Voyager Season 8. Jonathan, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Thank you for getting up this early to initiate this chat.
No problem. Yeah, for those who don't know, we're like 12 hours apart. So,
Exactly, yes.
yeah, it's kind of fun. Um,
So 7:30 a.m. for you and 7:30 p.m. for moi.
yep. So, yeah, I think that's the biggest time zone difference we've had. Most of the time we're
Is
talking to
it?
people in
Okay.
California. So California or, Europe, and there's, 6 hours difference usually. So,
Right.
yeah. So yeah, you get the award for the farthest so far. um,
Nice. I'm in Hong Kong for those listening.
yeah. So, all right. So what we normally do is the first question, just to kind of get the ball rolling, is since we're talking about Star Trek, and obviously since you're involved with fan productions, you're a big fan. Um, so what was your entry point into the world of Star Trek? How did you get started as a fan?
I think I have very you were talking about conditional memory
Yep.
prior. And so I have a very vague memory of watching either Star Trek 2, 3, or 4 with my dad.
Hmm.
And then the next generation came on. But in the UK where I grew up, the movies would be on anyway on a Sunday, but I'm pretty sure it
Yeah.
was 2, 3, or 4 that launched me into it. And then TNG was my first TV series.
Solid. Yeah, that was kind of the same thing for me. I remember seeing the movies. I mean, we had them on VHS tape at that point. But yeah, seeing the movies and then TNG. One of my earliest memories was Best of Both Worlds, which is a weird one to start a kid on, but
Okay,
um, so yeah, cool.
I don't have a
Um,
specific very early memory of an episode of TNG. It's just lost now in the miasma of all the
yeah.
memories of rewatching.
Oh yeah. I mean, when you rewatch stuff, then it kind of gets muddled with how many other
Yeah.
times. But do you have a particular favorite series? I mean, obviously you're working on Voyager, but is there like a specific character or show that's like if you if you had to choose? Like I know it's tough, but
It's an easy question. Thank you for giving me an easy one. It's Deep Space Nine.
fair.
It's
I'm
it's the one that uh, I guess other TV shows. It was the one that serialized everything first, and then everybody
Mhm.
references it when they talk about serialized television, and then they talk about the history of television and how
Yep.
before, I guess B5 as well, TV
Yeah.
shows just weren't serialized. But TNG was soft serialized a little
Yeah,
bit.
it
You
there
followed.
there were a couple things that did have, like, references to stuff that happened
Yes,
before, and there was basic, like, progression, but it
yes,
wasn't, like, heavy. Yeah, cool. Um, so,
and
uh
I'm writing Voyager
yeah.
because I've always been fascinated with what happened after the Dominion War. What was
Mhm.
the post Dominion War sort of environment? And so I'm
Right.
using Voyager as a way to get back into that. And I'm trying to
Into
create that
that
for
world, yeah.
myself because Deep Space Nine was so well written, everything was closed off, and
Yeah,
so
it was, yeah.
I can't write anything. Excuse me, initially,
Mhm.
but Voyager was left wide open. So I'm using
Yep.
Voyager to get back to Deep Space Nine. That's the secret.
Interesting. Okay. So that actually rolls into another
Yeah.
one of my questions is,
Okay.
so obviously you wanted to explore that post Dominion War period, um, but like what was the outside of that, what was the impetus on like exploring these particular characters? Because I know that like when I watched Voyagers for the first time and saw the ending, it was like, at least for me, it was like, I at least need 10 more minutes of the landing on Earth. Um, but so but outside of that, you've like gone to explore like what happens after that, like what happens to the Maquis? Are there consequences to things? How does Admiral Paris respond? What's Icheb doing? Like big talk about Starfleet Academy before, and then what happens after. Um, so like exploring post Dominion War Starfleet definitely has like effects on those bits that, as far as I've heard. But where did kind of the idea for some of these stories come from?
So during COVID time, Star Trek Picard came out,
Yep.
and I was really excited with going back into that universe with Jean-Luc Picard.
Yep.
But then when I watched the first season, I was massively disappointed, and a large reason for that disappointment was because they had just had different showrunners. Michael
Hmm.
Chabon, sorry, Chabon, he he didn't. I liked his initial idea of making it a very small story, like a little detective series in
Yeah.
France for Picard to just do, and I would have loved that because I want small stories, and New
Hmm.
Trek tends to. I'm not a big fan overall of it, but New Trek tends to go for end of the world consequences, end of the galaxy consequences, and I'm not
Tends to
interested
be
in
a
that. I want
fairly common thing with modern
yes,
stuff, modern
every
films in
season,
general.
right? Every
Catastrophizing rather than the
yes,
little things.
right. So Michael Chabon's idea of just like a little Poirot, sort of, Poirot, Detective Poirot.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah, I've seen a
I'm not
couple
saying it
Poirot.
properly. For Captain Picard would have been amazing, I think, because it
Yeah.
would have certainly brought something different to that part of the franchise. Instead, it
And
was
it
like a new crew who had all these
yeah.
problems, and then it just didn't have the passion and heart
Mm,
of
yeah.
classic Trek that I've come to know, and I think a lot of other people have come to know as well. I don't know what your audience is like, so if anybody's upset at me hating on new Star Trek, I'm sorry. I'm trying to be very
Yep.
diplomatic about it.
That's fair.
So in that process, I said, I'm sure I could write something better than what Michael Chabon has done. And I don't want to like put too much of an ego on myself. I just thought
Mm,
there is a story that we can tell. There are other stories we could have told that didn't need to just be really huge. And again,
mhm.
that's that's saying something about where I'm going with my story. Even
Yeah.
though I said we're going to Deep Space Nine in later episodes, and you've got to resolve Catherine Janeway's court martial,
Yep.
and earlier the little things I'm dropping down, the series is going to be on a very small scale. There's no Borg. I'm not
Mhm.
putting the Borg in it. I mentioned the Borg, but I'm not putting them in it. It's
Yeah.
hopefully, even though I'm not a writer, I'm an English teacher first.
Oh,
Hopefully,
nice.
it comes across as character focused rather
Mhm.
than these are the galactic stakes and our characters have got
Yes.
to try and fix that issue.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of the, when I was reading, I don't know if you've read it, there's a book that, Michael Piller wrote about the construction of, Star Trek Insurrection,
Yes.
and
Fade in.
he yes, great book. Very, uh, good insight on the screenwriting process, I would say. But he talks about a little bit about how like you need to focus on the characters and like how they react to the situation, not just like I'm going to make this happen and then my people are going to do this. It's kind of like the Tolkien idea where the world does a thing and then the people are like, what do I do with this? Not just like I'm going to force it.
Right.
So yeah,
Yes.
I like that where it's character based. I've been ribbing on that for a while,
And and,
but
and you mean with what I've written so far, or you just mean in
in
generally
general,
what
I
you?
yeah,
Okay. Okay.
yeah, that's generally what I talk about is I like character stuff and how that progresses. So and I
Okay.
do and I do enjoy how you've been doing that in the show with like seeing like Chakotay, for instance, how his reaction to his whole like removal is very different than how we might have expected him to respond in like Voyager season 2. And so we can see, I mean, because it is basically he's the same from end of 7 more or less, and so we can see that difference of the characters, you can see that development, and so I appreciate that you've kind of taken that moment where we saw him at the end of Endgame and then kind of pushed it to its next logical step. So I think that's really neat in being as faithful to the characters as you can be.
Right.
So
One of the things they said about the Marquis is that when they were on Voyager, the whole premise of the show, they say went out the window, and that's been documented
yep.
quite well. And so in my mind, I'm thinking, well, if they come back, then surely they're just as relevant again, even though the
Mhm.
rest of the Marquis have been obliterated. They're the ones that have sort of weathered the storm, a 7 year
Yep.
storm. And so what are the reactions from other people when they find out the Marquis are back because they were extinguished?
Yep. So yeah, and the responses vary from like, "Yeah, it's fine," to like, "Holy crap,
Mm.
I hate you." So, uh,
Yes, and I think indirectly they're back on the board.
yep.
As in,
Yeah.
it's how people are going to react to them, not just how the Voyager crew are going to react to a post Dominion
Yeah.
society that they've skipped over.
Yeah,
Right?
because Voyage
There's
and yeah,
yeah.
and this came up like the episode that I was just finished, was the most recent one where you had Chakotay talking to, oh gosh, I can't remember her name.
Oh,
He was having
Talise.
yeah, he was talking to
Okay.
Talise, and there was clearly this sort of like disconnect with like she's been through this whole Dominion War thing, and Chakotay's trying to like pull information out of what happened, like trying to understand it, and so you can see that they're in two very different places.
Yes.
Um, so yeah, so that reaction point, which is yeah, I like it.
Yeah, it's episode 6, and that was my attempt at doing a sort of cabin in the woods episode.
Mm,
If you ever watched For All Mankind,
yep,
I think episode 6 or 7, you've got the three main characters stuck on the moon,
yep,
and
the Jamestown
Gordo is
base.
going crazy. And
Hmm.
so that episode inspired me to try and write a very, very small episode, very just two
Yeah,
characters talking. And over the course of the episode, the tension just keeps slowly rising and rising because their differences are not aligning at all. Oh, sorry,
no,
their perspectives are not aligning.
yeah, yeah,
They're becoming frayed.
cool. Yeah, that's great that you're having inspiration from other places. For All Mankind is a quite a fantastic show that I enjoy watching, but I'm also a
Hmm.
sucker for old school space and alternate universe what if sort of things. So
Yes. Well,
uh,
interestingly, the what if aspect of it begins in the very first episode because if you've read
yes.
Homecoming and The Distant Shore,
Hmm.
they also have to deal with the writer. I can't remember her name, but it's not the one who took over and then went on to Star Trek Discovery.
Yeah, it's not Kirsten Bayer. It's
No, it's another lady. I can't remember her
yeah,
name. Sorry.
I neither can I. I will remember after this. I'll try to put it in the show notes. But I
Okay,
yeah,
Christy Golden. I
there we
think
go.
Chris Golden. Right.
Yeah.
So she dispenses with everything that I'm actually setting up. So I did pay attention to what she wrote and thought, okay, how can I how can I rein that in? Because she's just wiping away all this potential, all these storylines that are left unresolved from Voyager in order to
Mhm.
start a, what was essentially another Borg story straight after
Oh,
Endgame. It's like, what? The
hmm.
Borg again?
Yeah, you probably yeah, you don't really need that. I mean, it could be
Right.
interesting, but like after the massive black eye that the Borg got at the end, probably won't see them for a while, especially since the transwarp tunnel
Yeah.
collapsed. But
Yes. I wasn't expecting that, so I was very disappointed. And then they brought Data in, and I'm very aware of cameos. Even though that's the thing with writing, you can do whatever you want because it's all in your
yep,
imagination. You have no budget, and
yep,
I do think a lot of fan fiction out there tries to make loads of references, like Data's in this and Picard's in that. Whereas I'm
yeah,
trying to go more low key. Even though Miles O'Brien is in the first episode, I think it
yep,
logically fits because he left for Earth at the end of
hmm,
Deep Space Nine.
yep.
So I'm trying to do things logically, not just I want that. I want him in there for that reason or for no reason. It's just going to be
Yeah.
cool.
I
I
want him
don't
to
do
riff with Barkley for a hot second because they
right,
didn't talk that much in the show. Yeah.
right, like that.
Yeah. Cool. Um, so bouncing back a little bit more to
Okay.
the inspiration and technical side, this is an audio drama primarily, though you have started putting some animations up on YouTube,
Yes.
which the project that I help with is also doing badly through me. I say badly because I'm the one doing it. Like,
Okay.
Um, so I help with Starship Excelsior, which is another audio drama that's out there.
Also a
Um,
source of inspiration for me, by the way.
nice. That-
Yeah,
I'm happy to hear that. I'm sure that.
because you showed
Uh,
me that I could do it,
oh, yeah, nice. Yeah, yeah. Excelsior
and
was one of the first ones that because I wasn't involved from the beginning, so I heard
right.
heard of it before. I actually bumped into one of the guys who created it, James Haney, when I was traveling, and then we just started talking about it, and then everything rolled from there. Um, but when before the show, we were talking a little bit about some of your inspirations with Two Sober Dwarves. I
Yes.
think that's why can't I remember the name of the show right now? Val, no, it's not Val. It's a Defiant Class ship, but I can't remember what it
Yes.
is. Um,
I know what you
again,
mean, but
yeah,
yeah, you have
that
to.
particular show, which is also pretty solid, and then Starship Excelsior. Are you aware of, like, Outpost and some of the other ones that are floating around out there?
No, no, I'm
Okay,
not. But I will happily take a deep dive
yeah.
after this
Outpost is
chat.
another long-running one that's definitely worth, giving a listen, if you
Okay.
ha haven't heard it. But Two Sober Dwarves, Starship Excelsior being a bit of an inspiration. Um, would you mind talking a little bit about, one, how you fell on doing an audio drama, and then how those 2 shows kind of gave that inspiration? Like you talked about, it showed that you could do it, but, like, maybe a little bit more of the specifics on that.
Sure. So I listened to. I can't remember all of the episodes, but I did listen to the Defiant one that we can't name, and then Starship Excelsior, and I like the idea.
Vigilance. It's Vigilance.
Okay,
Yeah.
I thought it was something beginning with V.
Yeah.
The So this idea of an Excelsior, which is like a reference to the other one, obviously, but it's a sovereign class, and you have all these characters, but you have voice actors, and I thought, yeah, I could do that, and uh, try to produce, because I do some audio editing anyway. I make podcasts for myself and some other people, some
Nice.
clients. So the technical part wasn't too difficult, but the it's the it's getting organized and then finding people to collaborate with,
Yeah.
and then in the end, nobody would collaborate with me. I do ask
Huh.
every episode if people want to contribute, and I get some people who jump in for a hot minute and then they leave again, and then they're not
Huh.
interested. But they
That's
say they
that's
are.
interesting.
So a lot of people are flaky with their offers. So in the end,
Yeah.
I wrote it all myself. I did have a friend in Australia, but again, they're not always available. But they're not one of the flaky ones. So I had somebody like that. But over the time, because I haven't written that many episodes, I'm currently doing episode 7.
Mhm.
The technology behind creating the podcast has got more accessible. So in the
Yep.
beginning, I did all the vocals, and I'm not sure if you heard those episodes.
I think I heard a couple of them early
Right.
on.
And so I was embarrassed by those towards the end because 11 Labs came out, and then you could just produce the audio. So I immediately wanted a very authoritative, but I don't know why it's British, but I wanted a British narrator, because your story, the Excelsior story, they have a narrator as well, but yours is
Yep.
more just characters talking to characters, and the narration
Yeah.
takes a back seat. It's only to
Yeah,
sort of
we
introduce
did
the
have
story.
narration more earlier on,
Right.
and then we kind of pulled back on it.
Yes.
So,
Whereas this is written like a book
yeah,
first, and
yeah,
then it's
yeah,
produced. And I try to fit it. I try to fit as much of the book. Sorry, I try to make the audiobook as much as of the book as possible, if that makes
yeah,
any sense.
that is one thing that I was thinking, is that it sounded kind of like
A novel.
BBC Radio doing
Okay.
their audio dramatizations. From growing
Uh,
up, that's what I remember listening to, was, like, the
okay,
BBC
interesting.
audio dramas.
Yeah.
Um,
But over time, like I said, the software's getting better and better, and so I've had to keep redoing the previous episodes, which slows me down because I want to sort of
mhm,
maintain a standard. So I'm sure if you go
yeah.
back and listen to your earliest episodes of Excelsior,
Oh,
and
yeah.
you listen to the latest one, the qualitative difference is
Yeah,
there,
there is a
and
big difference. Yeah,
I don't want that. So I'm trying to upgrade everything as I go along, which
yeah,
kind of, okay, it's good for new listeners, but for the old listeners, they could be like impatient and say, "Well,
yeah,
when's the
like, "Come
next
on, when's
episode
the
coming
next
out?"
one?" Yeah,
Right. And during
that's
COVID,
fair.
I was able to bang out like 4 very quickly, and then ever since
Mm,
COVID, I've only done 3 and only published 2 more.
yeah.
So
Hey, I mean,
so
slow progress is still progress, like, you're
it
still
is.
going somewhere.
But when I
Um,
contacted Two Sober Dwarves, and they gave me loads of sound files, that really elevated the what people told me about it, because I have no background experience in this, but they called it Foley, because someone said, "Oh, I love the Foley," and I said, "What's Foley?" And they said it's the background sounds. So all the little
uh,
clicks and phasers
yeah,
and
the beeps and
explosions.
all, yeah.
Right.
I
and I want to
have
make it. Hmm.
yeah. Yeah, you wanna
No,
make it
go on, sorry.
authentic. So,
Yes,
yeah.
yes. And I
Yeah,
want to get the beeps accurate because I feel like if you're a Star Trek
mhm.
fan, Star Trek fans will nitpick this stuff, and so I
Oh,
want to
yeah.
make sure that I can't be nitpicked. But I do
Mhm.
get challenged sometimes, and then I have to go to memory alpha and then maybe rewrite something, and then re-edit it and put it back in.
Yep. That Well, I appreciate that you go back and edit it because most people are just like, "That's the way I did it, and that's it." So
No, I'm
that's kinda
embarrassed.
cool.
I'll be embarrassed by it.
I know that I'm a stickler for accuracy because I will sit there I did this has nothing to do with Excelsior. I was doing a role-playing
Okay.
game, and I did, like, a little audio short, um, to, like, let my players know, "Hey, this happened off camera, just so you know this was something that happened." Um, and I had to go back and go through Excelsior's library and pull up all the correct time period sound effects and, like, put it all together.
Mhm.
Um, so, yeah, I I feel it where you're trying to make it accurate because, like, I was working on certain computer panels, and I was like, "Okay, this one needs to sound like that, this one needs to do this. These are the correct sound effects for this," because there were computer overload. What does that sound
Yes.
like? You need to use this sound, and then you need to have the computer spark in this way. Like,
Yeah.
there's a there's when it comes to sound design, there's a lot of stuff that you have to do because some of the stuff, like, and especially because there's things that, because it's an audio drama, you don't just get from people being on set. So, like, shuffling or feet or the doors or, like, directional sound, like, you just don't get that, and you have to engineer it into the story yourself, otherwise it's not there.
Right.
So, yeah, so
It's
that's
it's
cool.
very. I can sometimes on my Patreon, I was sharing details, and I'm not sure my Patreons care because they never reply. It's just me trying to explain how difficult it is, and probably on a subconscious level. But I just thought it
Yeah.
was cool. But sometimes I will spend a day looking for one sound effect because I'm
Mhm.
trying to stick to trying to maintain this level of accuracy. And there was some flashback, I think, in the Chakotay episode where you can
Yep.
hear fighting. I think it was that episode, and I can't isolate the Jem Hadar disruptor sound from Deep Space Nine.
Oh, really?
So I had to go to a fight scene from some episode and then throw it into this AI software and strip out all the music, and you can hear
Yep.
this sort of and it sounds really bad. But when you put it under the speaking and narration and the sound effects, you can kind of get away with it. And
Yep.
that was the closest opportunity I had to just isolating the Dominion sounds. It's really annoying because then it
Yeah.
makes me feel like, oh, I'm the first one to do this. Yeah, and I say that in a sense that because uh, there are already a lot of people who've done a lot of work with isolating sounds from Star
Yep.
Trek, as you can see
Yep.
from what's that website?
Trek
TrekCore.com.
Trekcore. Yep. There's so
And when you,
many.
yeah, but when you go there, there's no Jem Hadar sounds, phaser
No, there
sounds,
are
or
not.
disruptor sounds. It's like
Yeah.
I've got it, kind
Yep.
of.
Yeah,
So
I know
annoying.
that Excelsior did something with the Gemini, but I don't remember if we isolated that sound or not.
Okay,
I'd have to look,
I
but
do notice though on Excelsior. Sorry to
no,
interrupt
you're
you,
good.
but when you I remember Battlestar Galactica music on your show.
Yep.
And to be honest, that was one thing I didn't like because I think there's so much music already orchestrated for Star Trek. I think the show didn't doesn't need to rip or take or borrow from another TV show. And it pulls me out a little bit. I get the dramatic
That's
stuff
fair.
because
Yep.
a lot of Star Trek music isn't that dramatic in that way that you use the BSG music for.
Yep.
There's none of that like ticking time bomb sort of this is the
Yeah.
stressful scenario. So I get it, but at the same time, as a listener, I'm like, oh, I wish there was a Star Trek track for that.
Yeah. No, I get it. When I first listened to it, I hadn't seen Battlestar Galactica, so
Okay,
it didn't throw me off too much. But yeah. But again, that's because of for those who don't know, the season 3 of Excelsior is very intense, and so that's why there was a lot of that kind of music used,
right.
as far as I know.
Okay,
I was not involved in producing that.
okay.
I came on later. Um, but yeah.
Whereas for me,
Um,
I'm trying to stick to Voyager music,
yes,
and
that
you can
makes
tell
sense.
obviously that I'm sticking to the 45-minute format. You get the
Hmm.
credits. It's just like a normal episode.
Yep.
That's how sort of slavishly I'm trying to adhere to what we expect as Star Trek fans,
Yeah.
right?
Which I think is
And some
great.
people say, "Oh, just make the episode 35 minutes if you can't write enough." I'm like, "No, I need to find 45 minutes. I need to fit in
Yeah,
something else to
need to
not to
do
pad
that
it
thing
out,
and
but to
maybe have a
make
seat.
sure." Mm,
Yeah, make sure it fits. Maybe add a little bit of dialogue here, little pause there. Yeah.
right,
Um,
yeah.
yeah,
It's
because I
harder
mean,
with the Chakotay episode. Sorry, go
y-
on.
no,
Maybe the
go ahead.
lag is okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, with the Chakotay episode, I have to sort of slow it down, as you say, with wolf sounds and the background sounds of
Mhm.
Giamac. Is it Giamac or Giamac? I can't remember. The spaceport in Ohio, the imagined
I don't.
spaceport, but it's Giamac is the city or the
Yeah,
town.
yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay, anybody from
It's
Ohio,
it's
don't
been a
at me.
hot second. I'm from Michigan. We're not the biggest Ohio people, so asking me about
Okay,
Ohio, I don't always know.
okay.
So,
So I'm trying to, because it's just two people talking. I'm kind of self conscious in a way that, oh, this might not be interesting because there's no action. Seemingly, there's no action until you
mm,
get to the end. So everything has to be slowed down. So how do you make it interesting when it's just two people talking for the first 30 minutes?
yeah.
And so I really focused on the background sounds. That's why that you can
Mhm.
hear the fizz of the like the security force field,
Yeah, the
but it's
force
blocking
fields
out the
and
snow. So you've got
mhm.
that, and then when they go outside, then the sound effects just are a little bit louder, and then they're trudging
Yep,
through the snow. So I'm trying to bring the listener on with us and just
yep.
listen to all these things that might be exciting, might not, but it's just something that adds to it beyond just
Well,
two people talking. And
what adds to the immersion, it makes the world real, and that's something that I
I'm
think is
hoping,
important.
yes,
So, yeah,
yes,
because
I'm
there
hoping for
have
that.
been some shows that I've listened to where it's like you don't it's literally just the voices and maybe a couple beeps and boops, and that's it, and,
Oh,
uh,
okay,
and that's a little rough, and that's not like slamming anybody, that's just,
uh-huh.
sometimes that's what some people are able to do, and that's fine, but when you add, like you can hear, like, if they're in a house, you can hear like the creaks and whatever, or if they're in the ship and you hear
Mm,
like the rumble of the engines and like it feels like they are somewhere, not just voices in a void. And that does make a
yes,
difference, at least I would say as a listener. And that's something that like when I worked on like my short and stuff, like you make sure that all of those things are there. So it sounds like you are a cue and you're peeking into this world and you can hear everything, rather than just like, oh, I'm just getting like a little bit. It's like, no, this is a full thing that's happening, I'm just not seeing it.
yes.
um, so
I
because
don't think a
it
lot of
help
people. Oh, go sorry.
it helps the imagination. So but
Yeah,
yeah,
and I
go ahead.
don't think a lot of people understand how long it takes, how much work it takes
Mm-mm.
to find those sounds or put those sounds together. I'm not trying to like pat ourselves on the shoulder here,
No, no.
but there are things that even I, as a listener, take for granted, and then sometimes I sit back and appreciate. Oh, damn! I wonder what it took to get that sound or to
Yep,
do that. Right?
yep.
We can all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I had to. Yeah, there was one point where I had to work on isolating a specific sound, and it was a it was like a half a day process. It was not fun, but I didn't have any AI tools to do it. I was just like using Audacity and the Adobe programs and just like
Right.
tweaking stuff till I could get it. And it still didn't sound great, but it was isolated. So,
Right. Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah,
um,
with the AI tools as well, people might think, oh, it's getting easier. But no, as I said at the beginning, it's making it more accessible. And then that
yep,
opens you up to more options. And it actually just takes the same amount of time,
yeah, just might be a little bit
sadly.
more faithful, but just takes
Yeah.
yeah. Speaking of that,
Yes.
the voices are AI. So you mentioned 11 Labs. Um, so how did you go about making those work? Because I honestly have no idea how that works. I haven't worked with it
Right.
much. So how do you go about as much as you want or able to
Yeah.
say?
Oh, yeah.
How do
It's
you
not a
go
state
about
secret. It's
creating
okay.
those voices? Well, some people like to keep it on the down low. So
Well, I remember, I'm half remembering a quote somewhere where someone says people can copy you, but it doesn't really matter if they're doing it for money. If you're doing it for passion, you'll always beat them.
Mhm.
Someone said that. It's probably. Probably
I've
Seneca.
heard it
But
around. I don't remember who said it. Yeah.
right, so you shouldn't worry about people copying you because they might not have the passion because they're literally copying you,
Yep.
right? So what I have to do with 11 Labs is I have to go into specific episodes, and at the beginning of this process where I converted from my vocals to I thought I could just provide the sound of the character from Voyager, and then
Hmm.
the AI would be able to somehow, when you do a Face ID scan and you have to go like this,
Yep.
and it gives you all, and you're giving it all the parameters, and then it just solves it by itself.
Hmm.
That's how I thought 11 Labs worked. I just give them the sound, and then they would be able to figure out all the different permutations with regard to emotions and emoting.
Yep.
But that's not the case. So at the beginning, a lot of the sounds were kind of like dull, but
Hmm.
luckily the dialogue, especially in the very first chapter, because it's so narrative heavy, which I have been criticized for because they're jumping into season 8 and it's just this British guy talking.
Yeah.
But from my point of view, you've just had Endgame, and this is seconds after Endgame, so you need that cool down. So the
Yep.
dialogue is sparse, so it works in my favor because the narrative voice is created by 11 Labs. So it's not something I've had to clone. They just generated it, and it gives me it's enough for a narrative voice, not a
Yeah.
character voice. So that
Yeah.
part's easy. So I never have to worry about narration text ever again because of 11 Labs. So I have to go into an episode of Voyager. uh, I have to strip out the audio, separate it
Yep.
from the video, and then I have to isolate. I think the app is called Video Highlight. No, Video Vocal Remover. It's called. It's like $1 a
Right.
month, and then you separate the vocals from the music. But that's like separating the ingredients from a lemon meringue, isn't it? You're not going to get the full separation, but there's enough
Hmm.
there where you can clean it up. And I'm not very good at this. I'm just learning as I go. I studied photography, not audio engineering.
Yep.
And then you have to provide 11 Labs with that voice. And again, in the beginning, I wasn't very clever with it, and the voices were kind of dull. But then I realized what you need to do is you need to capture, say, Chakotay getting angry on the show, and you need to build like 2 or 3 minutes of him just being angry, and then you just
Hmm.
label it Chakotay angry, and then you need one where Chakotay is soft spoken. So now you've got to find these scenes, specific scenes from Voyager where he's doing exactly that. So then I'm building up
Hmm.
slowly a character library. So when I auto generate the voice, it's only working inside that parameter of that one emotion. So I learned recently how to do a whispering voice. And I think for Harry Kim, I found something where he's whispering and then it switches back to him talking. And 2 years ago, I wouldn't have been able to do that. But the
Cool.
audio is generated now. So as time goes on, the tool is getting better, but I'm also figuring it out because
Okay.
there's no instructions actually. You're allowed to
No.
like emote. You type the text and you just say, uh, "He said angrily." That's literally how you guide the AI, and then it just speaks it in an angry sort of way. But if it doesn't have that sense of anger, it's not going to do it properly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So then I have to download the files individually, put them in sequential order, and then boost the decibels because
Yep.
it's low audio, and then I have to throw it. I do it all on my iPad.
Oh
Uh,
wow.
yeah, I rebuild
Wow.
it all in ferrite on my iPad while I'm commuting around Hong Kong. That's the only time I
Wow.
have.
That's impressive. Usually when I work on audio stuff, I'm sitting here on like Adobe Audition doing it that way with a
Right.
full like multi-monitor setup where I can look
Well,
at all my pieces. So
I have to do all the writing on the computer. I don't want to do the audio on the computer, and since I was already creating podcasts on the iPad, it seemed like a natural fit. So now
yeah,
I have two iPads, one for me and one for my client work. Because the library is just it's going to be so big.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. That's
the library
fair.
sizes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you
So,
have any? I mean, you mentioned a little bit earlier, but do you have anyone that like helps you with much of it, or do you do like almost all of it yourself?
so when it comes to audio, I'm doing it all. When it comes to the writing, there is somebody who said they will help, and I haven't heard from them. So now
Mm.
I have to use Grok as a writing buddy. So it
Mm,
will check me, and that tool itself. I mean, I am careful to say on YouTube and on the podcast that I'm the writer,
yep.
but Grok is helping me, and so I give it something, and the AI can remember show not tell all the time. My brain
Mhm.
can't, and
Yeah,
so
that's
it
fair.
really helps in that regard. And uh, it is there to remind me. Oh, you need a physical action. Don't tell the audience. That's why I'm going back right
Gotcha.
now as we speak today. I was re-editing episode 1 again, so it's living up to its name, Caretaken. I never knew it would
Nice.
take on that sort of extra meaning, but I'm editing. I'm on the third chapter already of Caretaken, where I'm trying to just elevate it. So it's at the quality now. It will be at the quality of 5 and 6 because 5 and 6 are the best
Yep.
in my opinion. And then uh, 1 through 4 will have to catch up a little bit, but it's just sizable tweaks. But
Mhm.
I have finished almost the episode audio for 7 as well. Now, when it comes to the animation, I have I have a VFX guy who will do commissions for me whenever I
Mhm.
ask, and I have a group of artists on my Discord who will jump in on chapter 3 if I fundraise the animation for chapter 3. So those people,
Nice.
that's great because I could put it all together in Photoshop myself,
Yep.
but they do all the animating themselves. I just do the storyboarding, and some of
Mm.
them now can just second guess where I'm going with it. But it's not like we're a team because I'm just commissioning them all the time.
Okay.
They're not they're not Star Trek fans. They're not trying to help me unless I pay them. I don't have a
That's
group of
fair.
friends
It's
who
not
will
like a
say,
bunch. Yeah.
with you guys, I think you work together as friends, and it
More, yeah, it's
all
more like that where it's a lot of us are just passionate about Star Trek and we just
yes,
like get together and just kind of do it. Like I came on the
yeah,
team when I was we were one of our fans asked for audio transcripts to follow along with the episodes. And so then I volunteered to do that. And so I had to run through all like 60s episodes or whatever. Uh I think it was 50 at that point. I had to run through every single episode and tweak them into a readable format so that like
oh
all of the extra show notes that people don't need go away. And then yeah, because you don't need all the explanations for like what the actors like. Here's what I need you to be in the headspace for this particular thing. You just want to see like what's that sound in the background? It's this sound. So that
yes,
sort of thing. Um, so
yeah,
yeah, yeah, it's a lot of there's a lot of stuff, and unless you're passionate about it, you don't want to do it. So
right.
because
I
there's a
think
lot of
only
it
the
going on.
VFX artist, he's the only Star Trek fan, and he's happy to create the backgrounds. You've seen the animation.
I've seen, yeah, yep,
Right. And so you know there's it's all done in Blender. You can tell it's done in
mhm,
Blender, and yet it's a three-dimensional background, but the characters are in 2 dimensions because it's just hand-drawn animation.
yep,
And he will give me a discount when he's processing, and we collaborate on building the scenes and getting the frame correct.
mhm.
Uh, but he was already trying to rebuild the entirety of Voyager anyway. And
Oh
so
yeah,
as we
okay,
go along, if we do get to the third chapter for the animation, I'm going to say, right, I need the mess hall. What's the cost of that? And then he's more motivated to now do that part because he's going to get paid a little bit for doing it.
yep,
Right. So I helped him with the bridge, the corridor, med bay, things like that.
nice.
Yeah.
May actually be familiar with that project. That's cool. Um, all right, so um, yeah, just the last little bit. So for this project, like if anyone wants to get in touch with you about it, talk to you about it, or like learn more, how would they go about doing that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I've got my Blue Sky, I've got my Twitter, I've got my YouTube channel. They're in the show notes, I hope.
Yep, yep, they'll be there.
And I try to post the episodes on the podcast first, on Patreon first. Actually, the Patreon they're getting the chance to read episode 7 now, and then it'll come out on the podcast second, and then the YouTube later. Um, yeah, I don't know why. I just stagger it, just so I've
Yeah,
got something always being released. Yeah,
yep, that's the way you do it.
yeah. But I do have
Cool.
some people on the YouTube who say, "Oh, when's chapter 3 coming? When's this coming?" I'm like, guys, it's really expensive to do this animation. I really wish the AI visual technologies could catch up and be consistent, and then
They're
the
not there
licensing
yet.
would be on my side. But it's really hard to do Star Trek animation.
It is. It
Yeah, so
honestly
the
is.
audio is much easier.
Yep. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
so
fair.
those are the best places. But I am looking for help. I'm happy for people to be beta readers at the moment. Not so much animators. I don't really need animators because, as I said, I've got people who are happy to just jump on board when I've got the
Mhm.
money. So yeah, beta readers, people who just I love criticism, and I remember one of my lecturers at university saying, "When you get into the real world, no one cares about your work." So
Yep.
I kind of
True.
I kind of experienced that immediately as soon as I left university when I produced photography. No one cares.
Mhm.
You've got to really uh, either pay for the help or just have people who are passionate about the project and are willing to just share your time. I'm sure you're in a similar situation, right?
Yep. Yep.
You know the
Yep.
feeling.
Yep. That's how it rolls.
Yeah.
Got it.
Sometimes on Reddit, I see people asking, "Oh, hey guys, can you critique my video work?" And like, no one replies. It's because we're busy. We're creating ourselves. So,
Yep.
so there's a disconnect there. You know?
Yep. Unless you put it somewhere in like, "Hey, this isn't working. Can someone tell me where I've done wrong?" And then people will hop on.
Oh,
At
yeah.
least that
Yeah.
at
People
least
love the
that's what
correction.
I've seen.
Yeah.
The
Yeah. For
the
sure.
inspiration to be critical is higher than the inspiration to help. Why? Who
Yeah.
knows? But, just the way it is. I find it amusing. Um,
Yeah. I've
but
got a question for you,
yeah.
if that's okay. I was wondering if this is a nice segue into getting criticism. I'm wondering what did you like about the story?
Oh,
What stands
s
out for you? Where do you think the
so
story is going to go?
so, some of the things that I really did like about the story was how you were developing, like, the familial side with Paris and B'Elanna, where you brought in Admiral Paris and, like, because it's a side of those characters that you didn't see that much,
Mm,
particularly with, like, you saw kind of the seeds of it with Tom and B'Elanna in the later season, but, like, that's kind of I think got shown more of, like, this is a family unit, this is, like, they really do care and all of that, and then just, Admiral Paris, like, wanting that reconciliation, which we heard about in the show, but then, like,
mm,
he wants that reconciliation, like, brings himself back into Tom's life and not in a bad way. I mean, he's still an admiral, he does whatever he does, but, like, there's still moments, but like, there's that I liked that the honest family dynamics with that because we
okay,
don't I don't see that very much in media anywhere where, like, a family is treated well.
right.
So I really appreciated how that was there.
Okay.
Um,
Well, it is Star Trek, and you've got to adhere to the I feel to the principles of Star Trek.
yep,
So you've got to have a good representation of a nuclear family.
yep, yep. I'm just saying, like, current things that I've seen out just don't do that very well, and so,
Yes.
like, I
Yes.
appreciated how this took what Star Trek did and then just made it a thing and didn't, like, and now they're suddenly having marital problems or whatever because that's like the cheap shot that everyone would do, and that's not what we do here. And so I
Yes.
liked that very much. Um,
But it is brewing, though. Did
yeah,
you
I
get
mean,
that from the episode?
yeah, I mean, Tom and
There
B'Elanna
is
are
something
all
going to
there's
happen.
yeah, Tom and B'Elanna are always that way. Like, there's not gonna be conflict, but, like,
Yeah.
it's not like the cheap shot where it's just like, that's how we're gonna create interest in
Right.
this relationship. So, um I did like how we got the promotion and then immediately things just started going haywire with Janeway. So I thought that was pretty
Yeah.
great. Um,
You notice she's
especially
absent as well. And that was
yep,
deliberate.
she's very
Yeah.
absent, and I thought it was I thought it was an interesting look at, like, the bureaucracy of Starfleet, but not in, like, the Federation bad way that can happen currently, but just like, there's wheels and things move the way that they do, and sometimes there's just garbage that happens. And
Yes.
so I thought that was an interesting I thought it was an interesting take, and I thought it was a good way to show the idea that people are think they want to show in modern Star Trek, but I think this was a better way to do it,
Okay.
if that is helpful.
Yeah, I'm not
Um,
trying to paint anybody as a bad guy either because I think
exactly.
that's
Yeah,
too easy. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
not really a spoiler except for those that haven't listened yet, but Patterson doesn't. doesn't didn't want to do it,
Mhm.
but they follow the chain of the command, and you do get to
Yep.
see the perspective of various admirals.
Yep, and
Yeah,
that's the thing that I like, because I like nuanced characters. You don't need like now I will say, like, when I'm dealing with, like, older, like, fantasy stories and stuff, I like archetypal villains who you don't need to be sympathetic or whatever. But when you're dealing with just people, I like to that understanding of the nuance of who they are and, like, why someone might do something that we as the audience or the protagonist might assume is not a good thing.
right.
And so I think that helps come across. We don't need Snidely Whiplash, we need Jellicoe, right? Um,
Yeah,
so,
that's true. Jellicoe
um,
was did nothing wrong.
yep. You might not like him. He might be a little bit of a jerk, but he was the right guy for the job and knew what he was doing. Um,
Yeah.
so
Importantly, I think something that you're talking about is, like you said, the politics of today don't allow us to see some of the character dynamics in a as a family, as you alluding
mhm,
to. And I always have to go back to Star Trek and remember that the original writers of TNG, especially,
yep.
they were apolitical for the most part. A lot of those TNG episodes were fables,
Mhm,
and so you could take your own meaning from it. And I'm trying to use that as my sort of guiding star. So regardless of my own politics, my
yep,
politics are not in the show. I'm trying to
yep,
again go back to all the way to the beginning of this chat. What's true for the characters?
yep,
Of course, my experiences in life are injected into it, but not my politics.
yep.
And I think that's very
And that's
difficult.
something that I have noticed, and I think that that is a hallmark of good writing, especially in the modern day. So,
Right.
um,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, there's probably a bazillion other things that we could talk about the show and plot things. Like we didn't really touch Seven or Icheb, um, but
Yeah,
yeah,
there's a lot. There is a lot. So that's
there's
the
a
problem.
lot
You can't.
going on.
Yeah.
And like just as a side note, I like what you're doing with Icheb. It makes sense. It's faithful with the character and is a much better continuation than what we got. I'll leave that there. So, um, so yeah. Um, just because we're coming up on time, I'll just say
Okay.
thanks for coming on and talking about this. I think it's great that you're working on this project, and it's just really really interesting. And I want to see where it goes next. Um, so, and I'm yeah, but thanks for reaching out and thanks for being on. So
No, thanks for replying
yeah.
as well, and thanks for getting up so early. What time do you normally get up?
Oh, I get up around the same time during the week. It's just
Oh,
normally
okay.
on Saturdays I'll sleep a little bit longer, but we're okay. It's not that out of the
Okay,
ordinary.
okay.
So
I'm doing an episode review series with my podcast partner, and he's in the
oh,
UK.
nice.
But
Oh
I do it
boy.
in the morning. He does it at night. So for me to podcast at nighttime, it's very different.
It's a very different thing. Yeah. All right. Well, all right, Patreons, thanks for tuning in. If you want to check out our Patreon, patreon.com/secret friends unite, you can check out all of our other spotlight interviews with wonderful creatives, just like Jonathan Morris. Jonathan, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and podcast services around the galaxy, as well as video on our YouTube channel. You can support Secret Friends Unite by becoming a Patreon member, get bonus programs and more over at patreon.com/secretfriendsunite. Join our Discord community for even more discussions on all things geek. For all the latest updates on Secret Friends Unite, make sure to follow us on Threads at secret.friends.unite and visit secretfriendsunite.com. Find our merchandise at TeePublic and Redbubble. Thanks for listening, and may the Force live long and prosper.